I was having a conversation with God about allegiance, about pledging our allegiance, whether it's to an organization or a nation, a person, a country. What I believe he was telling me was to be careful as to where you place your allegiance. So I really had to look that up. It's like, okay, allegiance, there has to be something there. There has to be something that God is really trying to get me to dissect. So when I looked up allegiance, the actual the dictionary defines it as loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior or of an individual to a group or a cause. And, it doesn't really sound so bad. We've been pledging our allegiance to all types of things. But what I believe God was trying to tell me was to pledge my allegiance only to Him. And I was like, okay, well, I get it, because the scripture does say that there shall be no other God before Him. It does say that love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your mind, your body, your soul. There should be no other gods before Him. So if there's no other gods before Him, that means my allegiance is only for Him, right? I know it kind of seems a little bit brainwashed, but my allegiance is to God, that my dedication, my heart is for God, then I ought not to be pledging allegiance to anything else, whether that's a fraternity, a sorority, a church, a physical building, a group. But all of that allegiance, that dedication, that loyalty, that is pledged to be maintained, should not be given to anyone else. Your faithfulness should be given to God and God alone. And the reason why I say that is because these other entities, the other organizations, they're flawed. God is the only one that is not flawed. So He's the only one that is perfect. So you can actually rely on what you've pledged allegiance to not change. He said, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. I will continue to be the same. But these organizations, even the country, our nation, it has changed. And so we're consistently pledging our allegiance to a thing that changes. What happens when it changes for the worse? What happens when it changes into a place that promotes sin? What happens when it changes into an organization or an organism that kind of becomes numb to the things that God hates, like murder or slander or injustices or sin? What happens then when you say that you're a Christian? That means that you have accepted Jesus Christ into your life. You have pledged your allegiance to the righteousness, or living the righteousness, a righteous living based on the principles of the Bible, the standards defined by God. So if that is where you're saying that you're a Christian, if you're saying that you're a Christian, you're ultimately, or in essence, saying that that's where your allegiance lie, then how can your allegiance be divided? I'm not sure if allegiance can be divided or separated. I'm not sure, sir. You either love one or hate the other, I believe. You either follow one or follow the other. I'm not so sure if you can follow two things unless those two things agree. So at any moment when one thing disagrees with the principles and the standards of the way God has designed for us to live As soon as that particular thing or organism or entity is in opposition with what God has established, now you have a choice to make. Where does your allegiance really lie? Does your allegiance lie with this particular entity, or does it align with God? You have to make a choice then. And usually, any entity at some point will make you make a choice to whether or not you choose which one is going to be first in your life. And that's a choice between it and your family, even a job. If you have an allegiance towards a job, do you miss your child's game repeatedly? Are you not a present mother or father? Because your allegiance is there. Your allegiance is towards making that particular money, that particular, to provide that particular lifestyle that your child may or may not need. They may need your allegiance. Do you not show up for worship because you've chosen that you want to work on Sundays? In essence, because your allegiance is there and you're not really at a place to where you can really trust God and believe that those 6 days that you do work, there'll be enough. So there could be a lack of faith there as well, but we're talking about allegiance. So where does your allegiance truly lie? And I believe we should be careful to consider where our loyalty lies, where our faithfulness lies. Our faithfulness should not be to broken systems. Our faithfulness and our allegiance should not be to flawed systems or humanly developed systems, because as humans, we're all flawed. So again, that definition of allegiance is the loyalty or commitment of a subordinate. You're the subordinate to a superior. God didn't exactly create entities to be superior to you. He gave you dominion when He created you. So why are you swearing your allegiance to something that's really not deserving of it? That thing cannot keep you. That entity cannot sustain you. It's limited. But God, who is limitless, He deserves your full attention. He deserves your loyalty. He deserves your faithfulness. He deserves your homage, your obedience, your fidelity. And He's proven that. But I'm not so sure if the systems of our world, if our entities, our organizations that are constantly changing, they're constantly altering to satisfy personal agendas, for selfish gain and impure motives. I'm not so sure if we should be so hasty as to give these entities our allegiance. So think about that. Just think about it.